First of all, thank you, Manu, for being a part of the UnLearn show. All 5 of the co-hosts are extremely excited to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes with you. You are known as the under 20, right? So in 2015, Canada's top 20 under 20 as a top entrepreneur. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you talk about the responsibility to help others succeed. And so we are super excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm just so excited. This is amazing. I love the environment. I love how bubbly everyone is, including Chantel, who is the queen of bubbliness, I guess. I'm excited. Let's do this. It's gonna be amazing.
Awesome.
Okay, so for like the 2 people who don't know you on LinkedIn, can you give them a little bit of background on kind of who you are and your why, and just kind of what you're all about?
For sure. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that might know me on LinkedIn, but I'm either one of 2 people. One is like, oh, it's kind of cool kid, or like a really annoying person on your newsfeed. So really happy to be able to explain more of like what I'm doing and tell you guys all about it. Right now I'm running a company in New York called Dunk, so D-U-N-K. We're a social media company. We have about 10 million followers in our internal network, the biggest account being @DUNK on Instagram. And we basically go to brands, we go to teams, we go to players, we tell them, hey, we have a big following of 18 to 24-year-olds. We'll take your content, we'll give it to them, and we'll make them feel happy about it. And so we definitely do a lot of amplification. We do a bit of consulting. We're launching an app next month called Superfan that will hopefully help influencers and celebrities find their top fans. Beyond that, of course, huge LinkedIn advocate. A lot of my friends are Instagrammers and YouTubers that literally make fun of me for being on LinkedIn, but I literally do not care. Like, LinkedIn is the best platform. It has the best people on it. And I've been on it for the last 8 months. I've enjoyed every bit of it. So do a lot of work there, and then speaking. That's like kind of like my life now. Is I travel a lot to go to conferences to talk about what I'm passionate about, which is entrepreneurship or advocacy, and just love meeting people. So the more the merrier. I'm happy. I've actually never been in a call with an interview with more than 2 people. So this is just going to be the interview.
Nice.
So Swish, man, what is it that you are super advocates passionate about? You said advocacy in there. What is that thing?
Yeah, there's 2 things. One is social entrepreneurship. So I feel like tech entrepreneurship is like highly glamorized in the media today, which is perfectly fine. I think tech entrepreneurs are wonderful people. If anything, we're actually moving towards that with what we're doing. But I think social entrepreneurship at the root of it is impact investing, but the equivalent for entrepreneurship. And I love telling high school kids in particular that you don't have to build an app, or you don't have to build some crazy artificial intelligence startup in order to be able to become an entrepreneur. You can start a nonprofit around an issue that you deeply care about. And the second is mental health. Never gone through a problem myself, but have had friends who have had. And I think just seeing their experience with it has made me very, I kind of understand like what they go through. I understand who they need. And sometimes I love being that person, but I also love being able to tell people who are going through mental health issues how to be able to get over it, and more importantly, how to educate people around it on what mental health is actually all about and what these conditions can manifest themselves into in the real world.
I love it. So were you just born an entrepreneur, or how did this start?
Definitely not. No, I was born a kid that literally just like hated my parents for I'm gonna stop there. I love my parents. that was like the worst beginning. The worst beginning. That was the worst beginning to an answer.
Angsty teen.
So I love my parents, but I did not like that for them to buy me gifts like a Nintendo DS or a Game Boy. It was very much conditional on my behavior. So I love being a kid that could basically become independent and get my own money and buy my own things from a very young age. So I had that type of drive early on. And later on, I always wanted to basically do everything in life. Like I'd wake up, I'm like, oh, I want to be an engineer, but oh no, I watched this Bollywood movie and doctors look pretty cool too, you know? Like I just kept going back and forth between occupations and kind of realized that what I liked to do was being an entrepreneur, where I could play within various industries. I could be whoever I really wanted to be. And then the next day I could build something else and be someone else. And so it was either acting or entrepreneurship. I'm like definitely not the best looking person. So entrepreneurship was the path I went to. So yeah.
So how old were you when you got started?
Got started when I was 14. I officially though started when I was 7. Like I built a hovercraft company, but like that was only one hovercraft I sold, and I made like $200, and that was it. Yeah. I was 7.
Nice.
Yeah. My dad's an engineer by skills. He kind of sold his like soul and became a corporate executive, but whatever. And so basically, like he came back home.
It
he was
happens.
trying to, yeah, it does happen. I'm very sad about it, but he was trying to push me to go into engineering, and you know, I was so against it. I hated the concept of engineering for some reason. I don't know why, but I like legitimately still liked making money. And so I'm like, all right, Dad, if you work with me on a project, we'll do this together and I'll take all the money. And he was like, sure. And I nailed my first ever business deal. I don't even know how I did it. But I got that going. My dad was like my chief engineer, if you will. He basically built the hovercraft. Like I just drew a couple of things and went around and got like the HMV plastic bag that we surrounded the hovercraft with. But once we sold it, I took the money, I bought a Nintendo DS, and I stopped working on any business ventures for like 6 years. Like I did not work on another venture for about 6 years.
You were
then
playing Nintendo for.
I was playing Nintendo. Then I got into this huge like I want to be like a Warhammer 40K like board game tabletop player. And then I went to the touchy phase, and I was really possessive about that. And then I got to entrepreneurship. Yeah. So quite a journey, if you will.
That's hilarious. So I know a lot of people, like a lot of entrepreneurs get really, what's the word? They get really discouraged, right? And they just sort of, I don't know, a lot of them just like quit, right? And they do kind of like go back to corporate or whatever it is. So what is the single most important piece of advice that you would give someone who's kind of like on that same journey, but just kind of like hasn't like hit it yet, you know, and they're struggling?
Yeah. Well, I definitely, you know, I'd love to say things like be persistent, keep going, all of that type of cliche stuff, which I think honestly, if you're an entrepreneur, like I shouldn't even have to tell it to you. You should know that. So maybe it's not the right occupation for you if you're like, damn, that's so profound. Like I should keep going with this. So ideally what I honestly would say, however, is more than anything, your network, like the people you know around you will determine the fate of your startup or your life in general. So ideally, if you want to get out of a rut, I would say go to many more events, go and meet people online, get on 5-minute calls, because you really never know where those 5-minute calls can end up. Like time and time again, I've gotten opportunities for future clients, future investors, future advisors, just by taking 5-minute calls that led to a connection, that led to someone else, that basically helped me create everything around me today. So I would just put yourself a lot more out there if you're seeing that your startup isn't working, because people really can make a difference when it comes to the business world.
That's really awesome advice. So Swish, you've talked a lot about.
Is that a fidget cube in your hand?
It is. It's actually a LinkedIn fidget
My bad.
cube.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty badass, right?
I saw that. Nice.
Can you just hold that up for the screen? Use that for branding for a second.
Yeah, just hold it up like a thumbnail photo.
Look, LinkedIn.
YouTube clickbait. Oh shit, fidget spinner.
So Swish, we've asked our guests this question. We want to know, you talk a lot about the positive pieces of it, what you've done and how you walked through it, but we want to ask you the tough question about the bottom for you. What did the bottom look like? What was your breaking point? And then what was that challenge that got you both out of it and continuing on your way to where you are today?
Yeah, so I've never had like a really strong bottom point yet. I think it probably will come soon. Like it just normally does. Or maybe it would, hopefully not. But I've had like series of times where I'm like, I was very doubtful of whether things would work out in my life. Especially I think this was around the phase when I moved to New York and I took a gap year from school. Like for some reason, everyone around me, except the people that were entrepreneurs, were like, what are you doing? How can you leave school? And like making me feel really tensed and stressed out. But the people who were entrepreneurs were like, damn, you should have done that 2 years ago. What are you doing? So it was super nice just being around them. But other than that, like, I think the one thing that I've learned with any of the times that I fell down and I've gone to that bottom is the importance of community becomes even stronger then. And it's actually why I put so much effort into LinkedIn. It's not only just to be like Mother Teresa and help people out, but it's also, of course, to be able to build a community that hopefully could help me if I'm ever going through a tough time in my life. And so I love the ability then, like, 2 weeks ago, my grandfather passed away. That was rough, of course, actually more my mom than me, but anytime my mom's sad, I'm pretty sad too. And so when I was able to tell people about that on social media, just being able to get that support and having people being like, yeah, come on a 5-minute call with me. I'd love to talk to you and share their experiences of going through a loss, that it means so much. So it's an undervalued tool in my opinion. People view social media as like people and make relationships, but at the end of the day, it's all about community. If you're trying to really like move forward in life, both professionally and personally using social media.
For each of the co-hosts, if we're going to go around once just to see if somebody else has something else to say, but Swish, we're going to flip the script for a minute and we're going to give you the opportunity to ask each one of us a question that you would like to. So let me go around first with the co-host. Does anybody else, don't try to eat up all the time, you guys. So does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I did have one more real quick.
I'm going to ask Swish before we do. Go ahead.
Actually, I did. So what is
of course
Swish? What, I know you can't stop me. I would do this all day. What's Swish? What's the one thing like in the next 90 days, next 6 months that you're trying to unlearn?
I'm trying to unlearn. Oh my God, there's so much. I think the biggest is to not view. I think it's actually to not view life in such a long-term, actually it's an ironic answer, huh? It's like to not view life in such a long-term focus. Like I think I sometimes get a bit too caught up being like, this is who I'm going to be next year. And then when I'm 25, I'm going to be doing that. And 30, I'm going to be doing this. And like, if things don't align, then I get stressed out. I'm like, oh no, what is happening? My entire plan is falling apart. I have to like copy, paste, delete all my notes. Oh no. And so ideally the thing I want to unlearn is I think living more in the moment. Of course, having short-term goals are great, but making sure that if I'm in a meeting, if I'm on a call, I'm actually present. Like I'm putting my attention to it and I'm not thinking about my 5 o'clock or my 8 o'clock meeting when I'm on a 2 o'clock meeting. So just simple things like that, I kind of want to change.
Yeah. That's good. All right, your turn, sir.
Awesome.
Nope. Let's do it. All right. So the Avengers. Let's ask you guys a question. I think the first question would be specifically to Sonny. Like now that you have a kid, 2.5 years old, pretty much publicly known on LinkedIn everywhere. Like when it comes to specifically like teaching your child social media, like how do you want to approach that? And I actually love this video because hopefully Owen will see this in like 10 years and be like, damn, my dad is cool. If he already doesn't know that. And so ideally, like how do you want to instill those values about LinkedIn community to your kid?
Yeah. You said it earlier already about, it is about that village or the community that's around you. And I think what's made it, so I'll back up a step. So before LinkedIn, if you never knew me, I'm a very private person. So I never shared anything about my personal life with people that were even in my closest circle. And so LinkedIn, the very first post that I had was about a loss of my very first dog. That's how I got started. And that's what gave me kind of the courage, if you will, to share those kinds of stories. And what happened with Ohm was that I had this community that was slowly building up. And so, you talk about 8 months ago, I can track mine back to probably about September 4th, so Labor Day weekend, where I just came across this wonderful group of supportive people. And I mean, I say this every single time, singled out by like a Goldie Chan, Fahad, Mike Moore, like that was like that first test group where they were like, yeah, just get out there and do this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So starting to share that, that community and this whole group here, and even this other small group of 20 to 30 of us, I mean, that support network, we may never meet in person. I hope we do, but we may never meet in person, but I'm developing these connections and these bonds of this LinkedIn fam that wants me to share my son's development. And I want him to share with these people to the point where, you know, these guys are getting pictures where it says, hi, Auntie Katie, or hi, Uncle Joe. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and that's my background. I'm Indian, right? So that's that term of respect of people. So I know that technology is there. He's already exposed to it. It's going to be a part of his life. So I'm trying to teach him that it's okay to be exposed to that, to the right people and in the right manner. And then the flip side of that is, you know, he says, I ask him, I'm like, do you want to make your LinkedIn video? And if he says, no, we're not making a video, like it doesn't happen. So that's a pretty powerful thing to give him choice and say, it's okay to not do that. And then when he's doing it, he's now becoming these social cues, these social nuances where I hope he looks back one day and he's like, oh man, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I was doing that with an apple in my hand, you know? But I also, but I hope that enables other people they don't have to be parents, but I hope it enables other people to find a voice to say, it's okay to get out there and share it, even if it's my own personal message, because I mean, I got a 2.5-year-old doing it. So, you know, you really, like you said, you really have no excuses to get out there and just do it if it's what you want to do. So
I love that. And then my other question, Lacey, you mentioned something before the call started about how you believe anyone can use LinkedIn. Sometimes I occasionally on my newsfeed will come across somebody being like, LinkedIn is not Facebook, and like, you know, being pretty much the crazy whatever lunatic on the comments. So like how do you see like LinkedIn playing out in the next couple of years? Like, what do you wish LinkedIn does so it doesn't become the next Facebook, but it becomes something even better than that, hopefully?
Yeah, you know what, that statement right there is the bane of my existence. Like, if one more person says LinkedIn is not Facebook, I will seek them out and no. But I really think I'm a really big proponent of the fact that a person is still a person no matter whether it's their personal life or their professional life. I mean, there obviously has to be some, you know, ways that you maybe speak in different situations and everything like that, but you're still the same person. You're still shaped by the same experiences. You're bringing those experiences, you know, those anytime you've done any learning or anything, you're bringing that into both your personal and your professional life. So I think that there's a way to merge those that LinkedIn is moving towards. And I think that that's fantastic, because I think that employers need to know that. I think companies need to know that. I think, you know, employees need to feel comfortable understanding that they are actually humans. You know, there doesn't have to be that strict divide between the two. And so that's what I hope for LinkedIn. Yep. And I see it moving in that direction already. And I think that all of us are kind of pushing it in that direction. And I don't think that it needs to become Facebook. I think that that's just a weird way to say it. It's like, what, because people are being personal? Well, people are personal. Yeah.
I mean, the way I think about it too is it's so crazy when people say something like that, because I can totally imagine that same lunatic being like, when Facebook first came out, like, oh man, what are you doing? That's totally something you should put on a letter, not Facebook, like, or something like dumb bullshit like that. So yeah. Next question to Jay. So Jay, I want to know from you, what do you, like, you asked me like what my like next couple of months look like. I want to know, maybe not the thing you want to unlearn, but the thing you want to learn in the coming 3-4 months. I'm really good at this, eh? Like, oh.
Wow. He is. We need to add him, guys.
Yeah. We found a new host. Nice.
Jeez, that's tough. I've got a lot of newness going on, so I feel like I'm already taking on some new stuff that I'm learning. So maybe it's just voicing that. So last year I simplified. I am very entrepreneurial like you, Swish. I was selling baseball cards when I was 8 to my friends because my mom would let me ride the farthest, so I could go to the good corner store. And I would charge them more than I paid, and then I would had first rights to trade for cards in the pack.
Yep.
And so like that was like 7, 8 years old. And so my whole life I'm going to be 40 like next week. And I'm kind of at that point where I'm like,
Congrats.
yeah, thanks. I made it halfway, right? Or whatever.
Made it. Nice.
Congratulations.
You're 20% there. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
Long life.
Well, I'm about 80% there. But yeah, so but I'm like, I gotta stop saying yes to so many things, and I gotta say yes to the right things. And that's that's unlearning to in one aspect, but it's also learning how to say no, and it's learning how to not learn for learning's sake, because I love to learn. It's being more like Swish. It's taking action. It's right. It's like, I've got this one thing and I'm going to go all at it. Now you might be doing 10 things, but things are getting done, and that's the point, right? So yeah, I'd say that's it. It's learning to be better. I know the lesson, but to be better, and having people hold me accountable to say no and to keep saying no, not just do it once or twice.
Right. Cool. Chantel, my question to you. So you're very energetic, very bubbly. You have a great personality. I want to know, what celebrity, like contemporary celebrity, do you most associate yourself with? It could be a male too. It doesn't have to be a female. It could be a male as well. But who do you most associate with?
What? Oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
I am extremely, this is so silly. I used to be just like Sunny, so everything is super private, and I'm so insecure, and I have zero self-confidence. It's building the more that I interact with amazing family like this that actually care about me. So I don't ever think I could ever put myself on a level with a celebrity. There's no way ever I could ever relate to
Diplomatic answer. No, I'm not going to accept that.
Cop out. No, it's a cop out. No.
Just say Ryan Gosling. Just say Ryan Gosling. You're good.
Grace Kelly.
Grace Kelly.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And final question to Katie.
Nice.
What is one that you think most other people in the world don't believe in? If there is, like one thing that you believe in, it could be spiritual, it could be physical, it could be about business, it could be an outlook on something that most people in the world would probably disagree with you on.
That there is not one ultimate truth about anything at all. And that it's all like, it's whatever you want it to be, because you create your own reality. So it's just, but I think a lot of people would be like, no, let me just tell you about, I don't know. So there's not one ultimate truth for sure. Cool.
Awesome.
That concludes questions with Swish. Thank you. Thank you. A pilot project.
Awesome. And Swish, I mean, good word, man. Thank you so much.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a perfect wrap up. We're not even going to do anything else. Right there. Done.
Super dope.
Thank you so much for investing your time with us in the LinkedIn community.
Yes. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Same here. Thank you.
And I hope you've made the invitation.
Awesome.
I know for myself personally, I'm sure most of us here are going to reach out to you to set up a 5-minute conversation in the near future, because
very happy to
love to pick your brain on certain. Each one of us has something before you jumped on that I think you would be able, your insight would definitively help each one of us in the next steps. So.
And same here. So I think there's honestly a lot I could learn from all of you guys too. So I would love that if we were able to do that.
Wonderful. I want to know your secret sauce for your confidence.
I don't know. I think it's just like I got to a point where like I really don't care what people think about me, so I just go with it. And sometimes that's bad. I think
Nice.
sometimes it's good. But I try to like I'm very respectful, but I'll sometimes like do things that people might view as awkward or like not conventional, and I'm perfectly fine doing that.
I love it. I gotta learn how to not care.
Trust me, like once you grow up in like a household that makes fun of you for pretty much everything and like grills you for like everything, you really have to be that person.
Awesome. Well, Swish, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And